Good afternoon to all. It's a pleasure actually to be here and present the topic of CSR research. It is a systematic mapping and scoping review study. We would attempt to not to rely on the slides as we have only 15 minutes. However, first of all, I would like to praise the Ahliya University leadership, which has led to Ahliya University to receive 5 stars, the highest rating of QS in the pillar of social responsibility. And it has been the first in the region as a rank. CSR actually is one of the fascinating concepts in the literature, which has been very, let's say, catchy and vibrant and dynamic in the theory and in the practice of the institutions, corporates, and different market agencies. CSR has received growing attention over the past few decades, especially after the Great Recession and after the COVID-19, because the intention is to have more solidarity between the different community members and the leaders of the market. However, there is lack of knowledge relating to the extent, type, and focus of CSR research conducted in the Kingdom of Bahrain. Despite the proliferating literature of CSR steered toward the Middle East countries. CSR concept is actually a multi-dimensional concept consisting of economic, cultural, ethical, environmental, and financial aspects, and can be internal within the institution itself, or it can be external in which the efforts being steered to the community. Literature review, if we do a literature review related to the CSR, we will find that most of CSR literature has shed light on the CSR practices like environmental, cultural, economic, financial, and some of literature have focused on the implication of CSR, like how the CSR is related to the financial performance or related to the reputation of the firms. Some of the studies discuss the motives of participation in CSR by the different firms, industrial, banking, telecommunication. Other literature focus on modeling CSR and proposing certain models of strategies for the CSR. Let's go to the problem statement of the study. Actually, mapping CSR literature using a context-specific approach is limited and insufficient, especially when we talk about our region, Arab region. Therefore, we aimed at investigating the depth and the breadth of CSR research and to evaluate the methodologies of the conducted research. Methods, we follow review approach in which we examine the literature related to the CSR, and therefore we visualize the different threads of data related to that research. This is the review families. It is very important to focus on that family because we have different approaches, but also they are interrelated in terms of quantitative and qualitative. Scoping review is a qualitative approach. However, systematic mapping is like a mixed method, quantitative and qualitative. However, we can go to the systematic review, which is a qualitative approach. Meta-analysis, it's a quantitative approach. So what's the difference between these review approaches? Scoping review is like when we say we would like to study the PhD student perspective toward understanding quality education. This can take a scoping review approach. However, if you want to see the trends and methodologies adopted by the different studies published, we can follow mapping review. For the systematic review, we study, for example, a more specific question. For example, what's the relation between CSR and financial performance? The quality of evidence, this is very important. The highest quality and the more coherent approach and the most rigorous and reliable approach is the meta-analysis. However, in our approach, we have used the scoping review and systematic mapping. The question that guided our approach: what type of studies evolved or revolved around CSR in Bahrain? And mainly index and Scopus index journals. The second question, which has led the scoping review approach: what is the potential influence of CSR on different firm performance metrics? We have followed actually PRISMA protocol, which is a very standardized assessment procedure. Data sources, we only search at Scopus database because it is a reliable one and one of the highest trustworthiness databases. We have inclusion and exclusion criteria. Inclusion criteria related to original research merits, the research targeting Bahrain. However, exclusion related to non-English studies, secondary research. We have identified 104 studies. We excluded the duplicates, 49. We excluded the studies which are not meeting the inclusion criteria. The total included studies, 21 only. Results and implications. The majority of the studies were quantitative. There is an implication here, actually. Why the majority of the studies were quantitative? Is there a gap here? Maybe most of the researchers are competent with the quantitative approaches, not the qualitative approaches, despite the need for the in-depth investigation of CSR research in Bahrain. Also, most of the quantitative research was done by using the survey or the questionnaire data collection techniques. For the focus group and interview, there were very limited techniques used by these researchers. Also, financial and banking sector received the highest research. I think this is typical as Bahrain is the regional hub of finance and banking. However, we can find a gap here also. What about multinational corporations? What about industrial companies with potential of polluting the environment? I think more research can be steered toward these industrial key players. Regarding the topics, the majority of topics were related to the CSR disclosure. Second, related to the assessing the managerial perspectives and awareness. However, there is diversity of topics which has been shed light on. The scoping review, these studies found that CSR is related to the financial performance and it's related to the client engagement and client satisfaction. However, more research is needed in order to verify the consistency with the universal outcomes of CSR research. Bottom line, despite the limitation of this study, as we have used only the Scopus index journals, we would like to emphasize on the investment on CSR research. Where we have to invest, I think first we have to invest in the human capital, especially the researching professionals. Ahliya has been a hub of action research, and I think more branding could be done for that aspect, because we need also to produce researching professionals, not only professional researchers. At the second aspect, I think that we need more investment by the corporates to ensure excellence in CSR models. Last but not the least, I recommend you to read this paper, which as I have published in 2022. It's related to the application of AR, action research, published in Scopus Index Journal, Jordan Journal of Business Administration. I analyze the practice model of Frederick Tyler, the father of scientific management. And I also analyze the theoretical models of Henry Metzenberg. He is the one of the prominent management theorists in the world. I came up with a model. It's called AR-centric model. If we apply the pillars and the dynamic forces of that model, we would be able to produce more research relevant to the industry and market. Thank you so much.